Chapter 7, AP Human Geography, Ethnicity. Case 1. Where ethnicity is located. Ethnicity is an identity in which is a group of people who share the cultural tradition of a particular homeland or hearth. Race. An identity with a group of people who share a similar physical trait, for example, skin color. Nationality. An identity with a group of people who share legal attachment to a particular country. Racist. Subscribes to racism. Racism is the belief that a race is the primary determinant of human trait and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Race and the U.S. Census. The three most found ethnicities in the United States are Hispanics, African Americans, and Asian American. Asian are recognized as a distinct race by the U.S. Census Bureau, so Asian as a race and Asian American as an ethnicity. Both encompass the same group of people. The difference between African American and Black is where African American identifies as a group who has an extensive cultural tradition, whereas Black just refers to dark skin. Hispanics is considered an ethnicity, not a race, by the U.S. Census, so Hispanics are able to choose what race they identify as. Where are Hispanics located? Hispanics are mainly clustered in the southwest part of the U.S. Hispanics exceed 1/3 of the population in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and 1/4 of California. Where are African Americans distributed? African Americans are mainly distributed in the southeast region of the U.S. African Americans make up at least 1/4 of the U.S. population in Alabama, Georgia, Maryland, Louisiana, South Carolina, and more than 1/3 in Mississippi. Where are Asian Americans distributed? Asian Americans are mostly clustered in the West. Asian Americans comprise more than 40% of the population of Hawaii. 1/2 of all Asian Americans live in California, where they comprise 12% of the population. Ethnic enclave. Ethnic enclave, a geographically distinct area where an ethnic group is clustered, and socially, economically distinct from the majority. Ethnoburb, a suburban area with a high concentration of a particular ethnic group. Example of an urban ethnic enclave: Chinatown in San Francisco, Little Havana in Miami, etc.
Hi, my name is Dominic Rodriguez, and I'm covering Key Issue 2, Why Do Ethnicities Have Distinctive Distributions? Slideshow 1, Key Vocabulary, Migration, and Segregation. First word we should learn is blockbusting. It's a real estate tactic of scaring white owners to sell low and sell high to black families. Redlining. Refusing loans to minority neighborhoods by marking them as red-lined, high-risk zones and refuse to lend out money for people to purchase or improve property there. Separate but equal. Legal doctrine from Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896 allowing racial segregation in public places and transportation. Civil Rights Act of 1964. It's a law banning segregation and racial discrimination in public spaces and jobs. White flight. The emigration of whites from one area to another due to fear of blacks migrating into the original area. Ethnic clustering. The concentration of people from the same ethnic group in a specific area, often due to historical migration patterns, discrimination, or social and economic factors. It can result in neighborhoods with a strong cultural identity, but may also reflect a past segregation or limited access to housing. First, interregional migration. After slavery ended, many African Americans stayed in the South, working as sharecroppers, often under exploitive conditions. From the 1910s and 1970s, many migrated north and west during the Great Migration to escape Jim Crow laws and find factory jobs. Cities like Chicago, Detroit, New York, and Los Angeles saw major population increases. We can see this in the Great Migration map on the right. Within cities, black families first lived in tightly packed urban ghettos due to housing and discrimination. This shift was often met with white flight and reinforced policies like redlining. Forced migration. Africans were taken from West Africa and brought to the Americas as slaves in the triangular slave trade, but then they were sold and forced to work on plantations in the American South. Especially cotton and sugar was what these plants contained. The U.S. Civil Rights Movement of 1954. Racial segregation found its way into discriminatory laws that restricted where African Americans could live, go to school, and work. This movement led to major legal changes like the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which banned segregation in public spaces, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. These efforts would open greater opportunities for African Americans to move into areas that were previously off limits, helping shift some ethnic distributions. However, historical factors like redlining, white flight, and economic inequality have continued to shape neighborhoods even after legal segregation ended. As a result, many of U.S. cities today still show clear patterns of ethnic clustering, not just because of current laws, but because of long-term effects of past migration, discrimination, and segregation policies.
This is Chapter 7, Key Issue 3, by me. A nationality are those who are born in a country and immigrated/became citizens to a country. Though they are very similar, the difference between a nationality and an ethnicity and ethnicity is the identity of one's distinct ancestry and cultural traditions, while a nationality is one's citizenship. For example, my ethnicity is Filipino, but my nationality is also American because your boy was born here. Nationalism is a strong loyalty/devotion to one's nationality, prioritizing their culture above all else. And an example of this would be the American Revolution, or this. Nations and states foster nationalism by establishing holidays and creating symbols and songs to rep their country. Two primary ethnic points in Turkey is that Turks are 3/4 of Turkey's population, while Kurds take 18% of the population. The two primary points are that the Iraqi Arabs take up 90% of the population, and that they're divided by the several branches of Islam. The ethnicity split in Lebanon is 55% Muslim, 40% Christian, and 5% Druze. Ethnicities in Syria. The ethnicities in Syria are the Shia Arabs, Sunni Arabs, and Kurds. But another key point is that Syria's government suppressed the Sunni Muslim population as well. Ethnicities in Pakistan. Primary points are that Punjabi takes up 45% of Pakistan's population, Pashtun makes up 15% of the population, and the Durand Line acts as a divider of the ethnic groups in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Ethnicities in Iran. The primary points are that Persians take up 61% of the population, 16% are Azerbaijanis, 6% are Lurs, 2% are Shiite Arabs, and 2% are Baluchi. Ethnicities in Afghanistan. The primary points are that 42% of the population are Pashtun, 27% are Tajik, 9% are Hazara, 9% are Uzbek. And it's important to know that there are a lot of many other ethnicities that are unaccounted for. Ethnicities in Caucasus. First of all, Caucasus is an area of 3 different countries, which are Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia. For Armenia, only 2% of Armenians are actually ethnic. For Azerbaijan, more than 90% are Azerbaijanis. The ethnicities in Georgia are extremely diverse, but the most important one are Georgians, which take up 82% of the population. That's the end of my segment, so I'm passing the phone to the other person, and subscribe to Missy Us.
Hi, my name is Dominic Rodriguez, and I'm covering Key Issue 4, Why Does Ethnic Cleansing and Genocide Occur? First, ethnic cleansing removes, genocide destroys. Ethnic cleansing, forcing an ethnic or religious group to leave an area using violence or fear. The goal is to make the area ethnically pure. Example, Rohingya in Myanmar versus Albanians. Genocide, mass killing of an entire group with the goal of wiping them out completely. Example, Holocaust in Rwanda, 1994. Global examples, Europe. Post-World War II Europe forced migrations. After World War II, many borders changed across Europe. As a result, millions of people were forcibly relocated to avoid ethnic conflict. Ethnic Germans were kicked out of countries like Poland and Czechoslovakia. Poles, Russians, and other ethnic groups were also forced to move. These actions were aimed at reducing ethnic diversity to prevent future wars. On the right is a map picturing major forced migrations within Europe. Global examples, Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was created after World War II by Allied powers combining multiple ethnic groups into one country. It was ruled by Josip Broz Tito, a strong leader who kept peace by suppressing nationalism. For 27 years, ethnic differences were managed under his dictatorship. On the right is a portrait of Josip Broz Tito. Global examples: Yugoslavia. After Tito's death and communism's fall, when Tito died in 1980 and communism collapsed in the 1990s, old ethnic tensions came back. Without a strong central government, ethnic groups fought to form their own nations. This led to civil wars, ethnic cleansing, and the eventual breakup of Yugoslavia into smaller countries like Bosnia, Serbia, Croatia, etc. On the right is former Yugoslavia land during the war in the front lines in 1993.